The MOZA MTP Throttle was the first throttle that Moza has made and their second big product in the flight sim space, and after a couple of months of using it, I think I can give some of my thoughts about how it's performing. Hey guys, Emils here, and in this video I will be reviewing the Moza MTP Throttle and MTLP Panel. Alright, let's get into it. So in the throttle box you get the manual, cables to connect it to your PC, some hardware for mounting, and the throttle itself. With the panel you get the manual, some wires and hardware, as well as the panel itself. I really like all the different types of controls on it. I think it is also important to mention the packaging quality because it is very good and I have no doubt the gear inside will be safe. For example, if you move or ship it to someone else. Annoying part of the setup was the peels because for most of the smaller panels it was fine. For the ones with rotary knobs you had to take them off to peel them, but the one under the throttle grip was just annoying. You have to unscrew these two screws because the peel goes under the plastic and it just feels not very well thought out. If it was a softer plastic like on the MTLP panel, it would have just been able to rip and it would have been 10 times more satisfying. The throttle and panel is quite obviously made to replicate the F-18 Hornet. The throttle has an aluminum grip, 27 programmable switches, an adjustable and removable detent, a Hall effect joystick, and a built-in vibration feedback motor. The base of the throttle is made out of plastic. A problem I have with it is that I can very easily lift the throttle and panel off the table when I'm either using the parking brake, hook, or the landing gear. It would be even worse if I placed it in a more natural position lower near my chair. If you mount this in your sim setup, then this won't be an issue, but I have to be extra thoughtful when I'm pulling these controls, so I don't knock something off my desk. Moza does have a solution for this, but I think that it should be able to stay put without a €30 accessory, on top of the pretty big price tag. All the switches feel very nice and the rotary knobs are also fine. This slider by the throttle feels a bit cheap and could use some extra resistance, and this little two-way button also feels a bit cheaper and I often just forget about it even being there. The finger lifts give you the option to smoothly get across all the detents, but you can also just push through them without using the finger lifts as well. The throttle splitter is a small little metal stick on the underside of the throttle grip, and it is very well greased as you can see. But getting it locked is more difficult than you would expect. I would have liked to have a little knob or something on the end of the stick just to be able to actually get some grip on it. So the reason why I'm reviewing the MTLP panel with the throttle itself is because they are almost dependent on each other. The panel has telemetry lighting and I think it brings the coolest and most unique functions to the combo as a whole. But I don't see someone using this separate from the throttle, and that isn't without trying. I used the Moza AB9 desk mount and attached the panel with a screw like this. While it isn't the prettiest solution, I thought I would give it a shot in this setup. And while functionally there's nothing wrong with using it like this if you own the panel already, I wouldn't buy the panel just for this purpose. You can see that it's meant to attach to something else, and other companies like WinWing have similar products that would be more suitable if you don't own the MTP Throttle. Attaching the panel is easy enough, you just have to put these two screws through the back of the MTLP panel and screw them in the throttle. To connect it to your PC, you can either run two cables to the AB9 base or two USBs straight to your PC. I feel like it could have been designed differently, where the throttle and panel could connect when mounting them together, so we don't have to manage so many cables. The Moza cockpit software is quite refined now, and you have some customizability options available for the throttle and panel as well. You can calibrate all axes on the throttle panel. There's a control for console brightness from 0 to 15, your 3 panel lighting modes to choose from: telemetry, device, and manual. If you fly the Hornet in DCS, telemetry is the way to go, but the device option lets you use this knob to change the brightness. There is a small delay between the panels, and there seems to be less positions on the MTLP panel since it seems to change every second turn of the knob. You can also change your force feedback effects, while I think would be more proper to call them haptic feedback, but we will talk about that a little bit later. Now the lighting really shines if you have it set up for telemetry, because then it syncs with your aircraft in the game. This is very immersive, especially when you put up the landing gear in the Hornet, well actually only in the Hornet. As far as I know, the DCS F-18 is the only aircraft that actually has functional telemetry lighting. And if you are exclusively a Hornet pilot, good for you. But if you fly multiple different aircraft, this could be a downside and make one of the throttle's main features pointless. During the day, in direct sunlight, the lighting can feel a bit dim, but in the evening or on a cloudy day, you will be able to enjoy the lighting much more. So I've found that I just put all the haptic forces settings to a low percentage, since it can be overbearing if you crank it up to full and your hand can go a bit numb. Also, if you have your jet or propeller vibration cranked up to full, you don't really feel the rest of the effects. While it certainly is interesting being able to feel your engine vibration and gear and flaps movements, it's not something that I see as a big plus. It's nice to have, but I wouldn't really miss it if it wasn't there. You can feel as you enter the afterburner pretty well, but the effect for propeller aircraft is pretty simple and is very similar to the basic jet engine vibration effect. So one of the things I wanted to see is if the effects we get in DCS, both haptic feedback and telemetry lighting, work in MSFS 24, and after configuring it in the software and getting into the F18 in MSFS, it had no effects. Lighting stayed off after I adjusted it in the game, and there were no haptic feedback effects while flying. Quite unfortunate, I would say, and it makes the throttle features more of a gimmick. Of course, this could be due to the game, but as someone who enjoys a variety of flight sims, I would like the features I pay for and at least the mainstream ones. Now with all this, is it worth it? For me, definitely not. I love the Hornet and other naval fighters, but my setup benefits from a more generic and universal throttle. The throttle panel is really brought together by the MTLP panel because of the extra controls which are sort of required for flying your aircraft, and because it is based on a single aircraft, you don't have any universal controls that you could use for gear flaps on the MTP base. They all are marked and for a specific control. While you could ignore these markings and use it anyway, I think I would rather go for a throttle with a more universal layout. It's a great throttle with great features for a Hornet pilot, like the telemetry lighting and haptic feedback, that will immerse you further into the Hornet's cockpit. Honestly, I am more interested in the new Moza MTQ throttle, which is cheaper and seems to be a great budget choice. I will be linked to both in the description. Let me know what you think of this throttle in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!